Machine embroidery is addicting. Stitching with unique projects, using computerized embroidery unit, terrific designs, needle and thread is very enjoyable. Yet, with every creative process, there comes a time when you might have a sour experience. In this lesson, I'd like to show you how to turn some of your embroidery lemons into lemonade. Our first embroidery lemon is thread hiccups. On this embroidery, we have an example of what might happen if your tension is off, if you have a dull needle. You may have the bobbin thread, in this instance which is white, appear on the top of the design. Rather than taking out the embroidery or starting over, simply use a micron pen. It's a permanent pen, comes in a variety of colors, and you just do a little camouflaging of the embroidery so that it blends in. You may find that you'll have to use two pens to sometimes get the color that you'd like, but you can see how you can easily cover that up. That's our first lemon into lemonade. The second embroidery lemon will be embroidered the wrong color thread. Now this can happen if you're not necessarily paying attention, and it's happened to me many times. On this particular embroidery, this is the finished embroidery, there are 6 colors. And the 6 colors worked very well together when you sew all the right colors into place. But in my design, the last color, the 6th color, the orange, if you notice, is blue. Well, you don't have to start over. You can just cover it up. Let's just take a look at the LCD screen. And there are 6 colors. And the last blue, I stitched one too many times into the orange area. So what I'm going to do is just advance the threads until I get to the top of the orange once again. And then to do the stitching, I'm going to cover the previous stitching with a stabilizer. It's a plastic type stabilizer that's called Hide It. And then you place it on top of your embroidery. Now I have already threaded the correct color in my machine. It's going to be kind of an orangish, yellow, golden color. And I'll lower the foot and start the embroidery. And the embroidery stitch will go right over the blue. Now if I didn't have the hide it there, then the blue would show through the fabric or show through the thread, and certainly would not be as attractive as it was if you just cover it up. So you stitch over this. The needle perforates the plastic and will make it easy to tear away. By the way, I also changed the needle. I replaced the needle because notice the machine has to stitch through all of these layers. And so using a new needle is just exactly what's needed. So as I remove this from the machine, you can see the Hide It, and now I simply use, you might need a little tweezers to remove some of this from the area, but with a quick remove you can see how that comes out very easily, and the blue is covered up, and I'm able to, after a little bit of work, I have just the right color in just the right place. Now to prevent having the wrong thread color in the sequence, you may want to have a way of keeping your threads in order. I have my threads in order by using a thread tower. And in this instance I have numbered the thread tower spindles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the top row, 7, 8, 9, 10 through 12 on the bottom. That way I will not have an issue of getting the right color when I have the thread sequence on my machine. The third lemon is removing an embroidery. If you're creative, you know that as you sew, so shall you rip. And if you have to remove an embroidery because it's puckered or in the wrong spot, we'd like to use a combination of the Peggy Stitch Eraser, which looks like a mustache trimmer, but it certainly is calibrated for stitches. And you remove the stitches in this manner. And then to keep the fabric shaped around the correct spot, you simply use this little handy helper that will help you remove stitches. And you can just cut the stitches from the wrong side, just kind of working across the stitching, across the grain. Tap it, and by working over the shape, you're going to prevent from cutting the fabric. Now you'll have to remove it cut some stitches and then go to the top side and encourage them to come off. And it takes 2 or 3 times to do this encouragement, back and forth, back and forth. But the combination of working with the edge of the stitch eraser, working over the remover helper, will assure you of getting those stitches removed without having to redo the entire embroidery. Lemon number 4 is you forgot to add an extra stabilizer. When working with an embroidery, we always use a stabilizer. But sometimes you may find that you need a little extra stabilizer underneath or on top after you've started to embroider. I'm just going to continue to embroider on the design that I have here, but to show you this technique, if you needed to add an extra stabilizer underneath, even though that you are working within the design, if you started to design, you simply just cut a slit into the stabilizer. And as you have the needle in the fabric, you can simply raise the presser foot, slightly raise the hoop, and stick this extra stabilizer underneath. And just slide it in position. And the stabilizer right now is going around the needle. So then I have the foot lowered, and I could start to sew, and then it would be added to the area so that you don't have the bobbin thread cut. So that's the reason you cut the stabilizer, so that it will encompass the area of the embroidery, and just start to sew. Now you may find that you're working on a velour or a nap fabric, and after you've stitched a few stitches, you wish you had a top stabilizer. For example, a wash-away stabilizer. And even though I'm not working right now on a nap fabric, you do the same thing. Just raise your presser foot, add a slight opening so that it goes around the embroidery, lower the foot, and stitch. And that way you can add a top stabilizer, which will keep the threads on top of the fabric and preventing them from embedding in the nap. And these are 4 great ways of having a lemon and turning it into a lemonade. Nancy's Notions offers a full selection of sewing and embroidery notions to test out your new creative skills. Order your supplies today.